Hi, Sportster Paul here. I bought 7 armatures for Harley-Davidson generators, 6 of them for the 65A, 1965 to 81, 1 armature for the 65B, used 82, 83, and early 84. Then they went to an alternator, and I'm not going to talk about alternators. I'm a generator person. So we're going to go through them all. I just bought these. Everything from $20 from BMI cart, 22, which is surprisingly good, to $111 a Drag Specialties that's surprisingly bad. It had some quality issues, but the vendor, we'll go over it. The vendor's going to take it back, no problem. Everything's cool. That was an eBay purchase, and I'm astonished at how easy. Once I said it's defective, sent pictures. Oh, okay, great. Free shipping here. So I'm really happy with that. So that one's going. But meanwhile, there's some old generators in the Skycam. You can see here's some old armatures. So we're going to play with that. Before we start going one at a time through these, I think we'll go cheapest to most expensive. I want to go back to that 65B, the last video I made. A couple of mistakes I made. I did mention that there is an end play specification. When you get it all together, you're supposed to be able to tug on the shaft and have a little bit of end play there. Of course, that's based on these bearings sliding in the cap and this bottom shell. And the Hitachi generator, this 65B, it's much more precise. Everything slides together, you know. It's not bang it together with a hammer. So if I can pull it like that, I put anti-seize on it. I'm assuming when it's all together, on the 6 other used ones I got, I can go thunk, thunk. But this washer, see if I can get it out. This washer right here, and there's 4 different thicknesses, and you're supposed to use, you know, as many as you need, or as whatever combination to get, I believe it's 4 thousandths to 10 thousandths of an inch end play when you pull and push. And you can, after a little experience, you just can kind of feel, you know, thunk, thunk, well, that's too much, that's 20 thousandths, tick, tick, that's maybe a little getting towards 4, and then not moving at all. Well, you know, especially if you feel a drag. Like, don't tighten it, turn it, feel it, and then bolt it up. And if it gets stiffer, you probably got an end play problem. So, sorry I didn't mention that. I did want to show you, if you remember that last show, I didn't use this armature. This is the new armature, where are we? Right here. That I got from Harley guys up in Pennsylvania. Here's the eBay auction, the sheet, $89.95, free shipping, yeah, expedited, came in a couple days. Ordered it on the 12th, Wednesday, got it on the 15th, a Saturday. So about 90 bucks. I thought there were different ones, and I spent time looking over them. Now I realize all of these are the same true NOS Harley, right? It's not like people in these ads talk about NOS V-twin. That's aftermarket. There's no such thing as NOS aftermarket in my book. So here's the box. Well, it turns out, although we didn't need it because we just had a hung brush on the one we did the video on, I took apart this generator for the article that I linked to in that video description and say, yeah, here's an article if you want to print it out. There's a PDF I make of them, and you can take it to the bench and go through it and leaf through. This generator had 1 bolt missing. So I ordered the bolt, it's on the way. But this generator had incredible damage. Look at the armature. It's actually been beaten into a spiral here. And if you can kind of see, the diameter here on this part has actually been beaten smaller. And it's kind of twisted the laminations here. So this, I mean, it worked. It had output. I didn't think it was going to fail, you know, it had any reason to be problematic. But when something's wrong, and in the junk pile, right at the flea market or wherever, eBay, I don't know where I got this thing. So all the roll pins, the 2 roll pins that keep the frame located to this front cap, can you see it here? And locate the frame through this little hole, they were sheared off. The other problem is if you look at this armature plate, maybe I can get it up close for you folks. Come on, focus there. Can you see this? Oops, it's hard to do stuff backwards. Here. See this, how it's been beaten and raised up this area just with the bolt beating on it? Because everything must have been loose. This thing must have been going down the road 400 miles just beating itself to death. So I wanted to tell you some good news. I looked up, how do I get these roll pins? I assume they're hardened. I lucked out, half lucked out. On the cab, this is the hole, right? So it measures about 80 thousandths. I'm pretty sure that's 2 millimeters because this is Hitachi, it's Japanese. Other than the nut on the front, that's English. That's 5/16 24 UNF fine. But here, oops, I got to refocus now. Come on, folks, there we go. So the roll pins are on the frame here and on the frame here. Now here where the end cap goes, I lucked out. I looked on the Practical Machinist, so you put grease in the hole and pound the center, if it's a hollow roll pin, and it'll squirt the roll pin. No, none of that was practical with a 2 millimeter roll pin. Plus this one looked solid. It didn't look like maybe somebody already put a pin in there. I have a cobalt drill set. Cobalt's hard enough to drill stainless steel and some hardened steels. It's not as hard as a carbide, but it doesn't shatter as easy as carbide. So I managed to drill the top one out, and it just went down a little wino. You'll see the drill press. I got a little slideshow for you. The bottom one, typical, I snapped the drill off, right? So now you got a real problem because you got a cobalt hardened drill in the hole. But that one I worked around by just moving over, drilling the hole for the pin, then going on this steel cast iron end cap, moving over and drilling the pin here. And it did kind of machine like cast iron. I'm not sure if this is steel or cast iron, the frame and the end bell. So that was a success. Let me go over the little slideshow to show you. Okay, here, the first picture, I'm drilling, what is that? Okay, that's the frame. That's the end cap side of the frame. And the next picture shows you one of the things I love, Tap Magic, right? Cutting fluid. Always good to have some of that, especially when you're worried about snapping a drill off, right? So third picture, that's the chips. So it does kind of look like cast iron chips. Hard to say. Some came out in spirals though, so I'm not sure. Fourth picture, that's I've had it 40 years. This Skill little home bench, it's not stiff, it's not precise, but it was good enough. Then, okay, the next picture, this is where I broke the bit off. So you can see the picture after that, that's not drilled yet, it's center punched. So I took one of those spring-loaded center punches, kind of decided how far over I wanted to move, snap the end bell, the gear side end bell and the frame. Then this next picture, that's drilling the new holes, 2 new holes. I think I used the number 47 and a number 48 or 9 on the end bell, which is supposed to be the slip. The pin's supposed to stick into the frame, right? I've ordered pins, but it'll be a week before they're here. I didn't want to wait. I wanted to get this out of the way, show you, because it ties into the last video. 2 millimeter pin and a 5/64 is about the exact same size. So I ordered, in $10, you got to get 40 of them. So I ordered each, and I'll play with the sizes and see, what sticks into the frame the way it's supposed to. The lengths, I'm not sure the lengths will all work out. I may have to cut them. But that'll go. And if I haven't mentioned the last picture, there's the holes. And what I'll probably do is on the unused hole, I'll fill it with JB Weld, the old hole, the one with the broken drill in it, or the hole not being used where this paint. And you can see the hole, the old hole is actually elongated, right? Because it was beaten when the bolts loosened in this thing and it went hundreds of miles before the guy noticed and it fell off. So it's almost a blessing that we moved over. It's kind of important that you drill both sides if you can. And what you do on the cap, I don't know, there's a little bit of meat to move the hole over here, right? You could see that. But here's the deal. See, when the bolts go through this, give me a bolt, it's got to fit inside this loop. And this loop, it might be hot, right? The loop might be attached to the armature. I'm not sure. But it's awful close, and so, you want to match the twist on where you move the holes to. So we got away with it on this top here where, we just drilled out what was there, and it doesn't look too egged out on either side. On the bottom where it went wrong, well, no harm, no foul. What this does do wrong is you couldn't mix and match parts from a different generator. This part has to go with this frame because it's got the offset non-standard holes. Not too bad. So I showed you this. I talked about this. Oh, Danny O'Regan, the guy who taught me how to make a good drive unit. Good Irish lad. He asked, are the bearings replaceable? Because this Hitachi comes with the bearings preloaded. There are bearings called out separately in the parts book. Get the Harley parts book, get the Harley service manual for your year. So they are replaceable. You can buy them on eBay for not ridiculous prices, $15, I think, for a pair of the end cap ones, $20 for these. I don't know if the problem is pulling this one here, because there's such a little gap. I'm going to try real time. I said, well, let's see if we can pull this guy. You can pull them off yanking on the outside, as long as you're going to throw them away, right? You should never push and pull things across the rollers or across the balls. So this one, because it's junk armature, right, and I'm never going to use these, let's see if we can, I put some of my favorite croil, aero croil in this case. Turn. This is my home. I don't think this one's going to work. Okay, let's. It's springing. I don't want to break this puller because I use it for the gears. So, and I'm not going to put it in a press. It's just not worth it to me to find out. So, Danny, I don't think, or Daniel, whatever you prefer, I don't think if you can get the bearing off, good luck. But I can't. Now I can't even get the puller off. Okay. Let's get this guy. So, hopefully we didn't damage our little cheap welded up Taiwan puller. It's the same puller as this Taiwan puller, but you can see this one got bent from being twisted. So to solve that problem, it probably didn't bend it on a generator gear. They're not that hard to get off. But this one I welded these plates on, welded a bead on the outside, just with a stick welder, Lincoln stick welder, welded beads on the inside. So we've solved that mystery. I guess we can put this here. Let me move all this stuff and we'll get to the 65A. We'll get to the 6 armatures that I bought and we'll compare them and we'll see what's going on with that. Okay, see you in a sec. All right, forgot to mention, those washers are available by an international seller out of Sarasota, Florida, right down the street, $45 each for the washers. That ain't happening. All I could figure, I looked at my transmission washers here, that's why this stuff was out. Forgot to tell you. Cam spacer washers. There's also a starter crank spacer washer. They're a little too small, but I mean, I'd put in any kind of washer, but a $45 one. So that's not happening. So let me get rid of this. All right, that's my little yellow bin that I have all the transmission and bendable stuff. Okay, let's go. We're done with the Kano. We can get that down there. I used that. What is it? Simple Orange or whatever, the orange Permatex stuff. Let's get the first armature right here. So I've got a little cheat sheet. This armature, and I've marked them so I don't confuse them. BMI cart, $21.52 in my hands. They sell it for $9.95. Shipping brings it up to $21.52. It is available. Here's a screenshot there. It's available on Amazon. And when you look at the shipping and the price they charge, they got to add a little extra, so it's $25.19. Oh, the nice thing, their website, BMI Cart's website, they took PayPal, so there's no risking your credit card, right? You just pay them with PayPal. But since they don't have to pay the Amazon surcharge, they have, they charge you a little less. At Amazon, $25.19. And on eBay, $22.75, because I guess eBay doesn't take as big a cut. So what's that? About a little more than $1 more on eBay compared to direct paying them with PayPal. as I said, get rid of this. The quality is remarkably good. It came in this box, 12 volts. It had, this thing to protect the bearing side, the needle bearing side of it, a shipper. Somebody sent me this, and I'm not sure who it was. It came out of one of the boxes. It's like a bill, and I think it's got some In God We Trust religious stuff here. Not important. And then BMI cart, direct, from them, so it's the real deal. A bunch of paper. All right, so that's that. Put the shipper in. This is, when I looked up BMI cart, it's go-karts, right? It's all that market. But then you look and read into them a little bit, because they're from Ohio, and I'm an Ohio boy, so I like that. They either bought or acquired or inherited Dixie. And Dixie is an old school, when I was young, I remember Dixie stuff, and it had a good reputation as I remember it. They made a lot of obscure engine stuff. And obviously, this may or may not have come from Taiwan. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's old stock. From the discoloration on the armature, you think, well, maybe these were sitting in the Dixie warehouse for 40 years, and the BMI cart owner said, hey, just let's get rid of these. $10 each, gone, right? Like I said, the quality's remarkably good. I'm going to try to zoom in, because this is a lesson in showing you what to look for when you get your armature to decide whether to send it back or not. So, let's see if I can get it close here. Focus. Is it doing its thing? Should be focusing. It's real focus. So, first quality issue. It's got this little lump of shellac, right? They dip them to keep, you got to kind of glue all these wires together because the magnetism is spinning around north-south, north-south. So, dipping them in this varnish or lacquer, there's a big drop of it there. It's not going to imbalance it. It's nothing serious. The biggest quality problem I found, there, right here. See how those laminations have shifted? That's bad because the wires are running in here, and it's going to put a kink on, pressure on the wire. Now, don't panic too much because you can just barely see when you look in the end here. It might be hard to see. They put a paper liner in when they lay in those wires, right? So it's not like the wire is directly pressing, even though it's insulated wire. It's not directly pressing on the lamination. Then they hammer in these, they look like wood. The little white thing, that's an end plate. So as it makes the corner, right, the wire's got plenty of protection from the sharp edge of the steel lamination. This side, you can see tape here, paper underneath. It looks like there's just, there's a pair of wires. God, am I going blind? Pair of wires there. One of the things I always look for are the laminations cut? That's what's going to be wrong with this $112 drag specialties. They missed cutting the insulation on the commutator, and they cut the copper and left the insulation, which will hold the brush off as it goes on, and eventually you lose output. So is it nice and even? You'll see when we go over the ones I didn't even buy to look at, some of them look like these were cut with a hatchet. They're all rough and gougy. So copper is a hard thing to machine. Ask any of my machinist buddies. So, and in addition, is it nice and smooth? How deep is it, right? Get a fingernail in there. One of these, I think I noted, is shallower than the other. I've already lost the paper that goes with this, but we'll get all that together, okay? So on this end, BMI cart, you can see there, it's cost reduced, right? It's just got this raw steel where some of the others have got an end piece here. Paper here to insulate the shaft from the insulated windings. And, with vibration and the magnetism pumping on the wires, that's a common failure when a generator or motor wears out. It starts carving up the insulation on the magnet wire. Now, usually Harley generators go bad because they've had too much current. There's not a current limiting. The electronic regulators will protect if it's a good regulator. But not the cheap regulators, or the old mechanical ones don't always do as good a job limiting current. So that's the other quality thing, are the threads nice? Do these look okay? And they do. This one, this is where the bearing pushes on. I'm sorry, the gear. This is where the gear pushes on. This is where the bearing pushes on. There. This is where the bearing pushes on. This is where the seal rides. So especially, now here, if it's a little rough, you can clean it up with emery paper or any, sandpaper. Here, it should be nice and smooth. If it's got any divots, that's going to let the oil leak through it. Then here it's shouldered up. You can see it's an amazingly nice part. Last thing you want to check, this surface here. Is it smooth? Is it hard? Does it look ready? Some of them just have a little like gum, like cosmoline on it that you should clean off. But here's a CCI needle bearing. Okay, it's a little bit longer. And if I can just get it, you can just see there's an O-ring in there for that cheap aftermarket end bell that we showed in the first rebuild show, the 65A rebuild, where they took the big seal out, and instead they just put an O-ring in this needle bearing. Here's a factory. As a matter of fact, I just bought these to do when we start rebuilding generators with these. I might do a show on each one. This is a real Harley-Davidson, genuine, real thing, part number. And you can see this needle is a little bit shorter. I'm not going to take it out of the bag because I'm a cleanliness nut, and why pollute this? I love you folks, but not enough to get my bearings dirty. You can see it's shorter because it doesn't have the O-ring, right? You're fine with that as long as the end bell of the 65A generator has the seal in it. Use this needle. But you probably won't be able to see in there because I am too fastidious to take but you can kind of see they're tiny little needles. It won't take a lot of screw up. I've got some bad generator shafts here. Let's find one for you real quick. Here's one. How's that for tore up, right? Here's another one wore down so much, the end of the Timken started chewing it up, which is a shame. This is an interesting armature because it's got this kind of flat wound and hollow in here. It's a little differently constructed than any. I wonder if it's an old factory or an original Prestolite. It says 12 volt in something, not sure. So, like I said, you want to get off on the cheap, you're on a budget, $20, $21, that's pretty hard to beat. I'm going to go find that stuff, BMI, eBay, BMI. One issue, a little issue on this one. I thought the laminations were cut a little shallow. Or I said laminations, I meant commutator segment. Right? You can kind of see there, they're really not that deep. Now how much brush, how much is the copper going to wear off? The finish on the copper is nice, smooth, right? We use steel wool to clean it. They say don't use emery cloth. The abrasive gets wedged into the copper because copper's so gummy, and then that screws you up and wears the brushes out, makes them spark, does all kinds of bad things. But I figured steel wool, since you use it to clean copper pipes before you solder them. So that was an issue. And then one of the things I did is I went across the commutator with my meter, with my Fluke super cool meter, and really jabbed the needles on two opposite sections. Almost all of these measured the same. 0.6, and then subtract 0.2 or 0.3 off of that. So that's just the resistance of the little wire. They're all about the same. We'll see when we get it in the tester, output, and I've got a better tachometer on the way, so I'll be able to tell you, yeah, this one hits 12 volts at this many RPM. So that is, let's put it back in its box. That is the BMI cart, also available on Amazon, also available on eBay. Direct, they take PayPal. I'd run it, right? You got to appreciate cost. Okay, next one. It's this one here. Looks okay. How's the sky cam? Not too bad. Here's my little crib sheet for it. And here's the packaging. Stuff's falling. This, I think, came from these, I think it might have come from Ohio, too. Or no, Meldy's Parts, which is Oregon or Washington, I'm not sure. Oh, I know. Maybe I'll look on the label. We'll tell you. Logan, Ohio. Cool. So, one of the things weird with this, I wonder if I can find it. Oh yeah, here it is. And I saw pictures of other ones. I thought they made a mistake. They included this little washer. Beats me. It doesn't fit anything. I can see. Let me try this. Let me try this side. Oh, it's a nice fit for where the gear goes. No, that's not where the gear goes. This washer is a nice fit for where the bearing goes. I'm not sure why that's considered part of this assembly. I mean, the factory doesn't come like that. We'll look into it. Maybe this one's built different and they want you to use this here so that when the bearing presses up against it, it's all I could think of. Move the whole thing over a little. But you wouldn't want to do that because you got this side of it to worry about. So this one, eBay, $30.08. Not a lot more, and you get the free washer with it. Here's the thing, Lifeline, part number, blah, that's the factory part number, 3851, made in Taiwan. It's a little bit corroded, not corroded, but, the copper's patinaed. I don't know that the Taiwan phase, if anybody makes stuff in Taiwan anymore, I thought it's all moved to Red China. So this might be something that's just been sitting around warehouses for 20, 30 years. Here's a card. They seem like nice people, family owned, picture on the bike. Highly recommended. They took some special care, and I think this is whoever they get it from. Can I get it all out? Styrofoam to protect everything, right? So that was pretty cool. Like this. So thank you, Steve and Meldy. Okay. Ordered on 5/11, received it on the 14th. That's like instantaneous. That's because Meldy's Parts popped for priority mail, right? So it comes in 2 days. It's got a tracking number. It's got insurance. Ordered it on eBay. I guess that's all we need to learn about the purchase. Now this one, it measured even a little less, which to me is good news, right? 0.59 ohms resistance. This one too, though, has, let me see if I can get focus. Not any. My camera's having trouble here. Oh, for one thing, I'm turning it on and off instead of, let's focus it with the remote control. There we go. So once again, the segments aren't cut very deep. They are very narrow, which I like, right? The more copper, the more goes into the brush, the more surface area taking the electricity. So that's cool, but they're not cut very deep. This shaft, let me see, shallow cuts. See, this is the one that's got like dirty kind of gummy stuff on the shafts. No crisis, that's probably good. It's anti-corrosion, so you take some solvent and wipe that off. String here, no paper underneath the windings though. So that's kind of concerning. The biggest concern I had is this discoloration. Is that, well, I can't feel anything, right? So with those tiny little needles, this is really critical, and you can see how little, except I can manage to lose something in 10 seconds. Well, let's use the factory one. Oh, there it is. This one's longer because it's got the O-ring in it, right? There's not a lot of space. You can feel the drag from that O-ring, right? So the factory one probably is like that thick. Let's get a factory one. right? It's solid end, so it can't. So it's only picking up, 3/8 of an inch, a little more than a quarter. Not a lot. So you do want real quality stuff there. There's some issues on the cuts. I don't know. It's having a hard time show up there. Maybe better lighting. They're not all exactly uniform, but the shallowness is more of a problem. But they're not all jaggy and like some pictures you see. Laminations look great. Right? This side, beautiful surface finish where the bearing runs, where the seal runs. Here, beautiful surface finish where the bearing presses in. Splines are splines. I haven't seen too much trouble. I meant to run nuts on these, but let's think that they can put a 5/16 24 fine thread nut in their armature machine. So this one, nice family operated business. I'm pleased with this. I would probably run this. There's a couple little, see there's a lamination. Was it banged up or is that from the factory? Hard to say. But not bad for $30 in my hand. Okay, so I'm going to pack this up and come back for the next one and get rid of the stuff as we go. All right, next one. This is the one that came from Kent, Washington. This was an Amazon purchase, $40, $39.99. No tax because it came from Washington. Wasn't sold. Yeah, that's going to be an issue. Now, there's going to be the next one's identical, almost identical, also from Amazon. So this is an interesting thing to learn. The packing is gorgeous, right? Thank you, whoever in Kent, Washington does this. Came in a plastic bag, paper in the box, bubble wrap around the paper, more paper padding in the bag. This was FedEx, so this one took a little longer, I think. Ordered 5/12, received 5/17. So however many days. There's a weekend in between there, I'm pretty sure. It measured 0.61 ohms, right in the same ballpark as the other ones. Anything else I noted? Kent, Washington? No. So this one, you're going to notice, just like the next one, I think it's the same, probably Chinese, same Chinese manufacturer, but maybe different distributors. Construction's pretty darn good. Let's see if we can, let me use the portable. I'm having so much trouble with this, I don't know why. There we go. So, it's got this red washer, kind of a little extra, unlike that raw stuff. The grooves are perfectly uniform and a little bit deeper, right? The commutator, you can kind of hear it. There's machining marks, but it's not the end of the world. Paper underneath, pairs of wires going, and then like paper or wrap. That's so this thing's spinning, right? The wires don't fly off. It keeps it. Although on a Harley, it doesn't get that much RPM, it's probably not a problem. Now, here, okay, here's the biggest problem. This thing right here, right where your needle bearing wants to run. Oh, I just brightened it up, see? Now what's going on there? Is it just some dirt that I got to scratch off? Like I say, if it's just cosmoline, that's good, right? But of all the places, see, to me it looks like a quality control issue. Right? So that's the biggest concern. Laminations, they've got like glue or gum or something all over them, but they're very uniform, they're very straight. Same thing, they've got, hammered in, after you wind it, then you put in these long spacers. Plus you can maybe see from this side, there's paper that is in all the slots, right? They don't let the wires run directly against the laminations. So paper, wind it, then pound in these long things, then dip the whole thing in varnish after you wrap it up. This side, not too bad. No, I said too soon. Once again, but that's just that, I'm pretty sure, is just a little bit of Cosmoline type stuff. No, it's nicely done. You know, see how they relieved here and they relieved here, so stuff shoulders upright. That's kind of cool, right? So $40 from Quality. Well, you saw the thing, Quality Solutions. So interesting, right? Amazon. Everybody likes Amazon. I do. Nice and bright. This is why I think this is new. This isn't stuff made in Taiwan 40 years ago. It's been in a warehouse. I think this is modern production out of Red China, where they just found an armature manufacturer and said, you know, give us $20, $30 armatures that we could resell for $40. So not bad. Threads are okay. I'd run it. All right. Clean it up a little, right? Although, actually, I'd send this one back and get another one. This is just a one-off, right? This thing right there. Okay, so that's that. Now I'm going to get it's almost identical, but there's an couple important differences with the other Amazon one. It's $5 more. Let me get back with that. Okay, the next Amazon one, identical almost. Obviously the same manufacturer. Couple of important things. This one comes in a prime bag. It is not only shipped by Amazon, like a lot of stuff, it is sold by Amazon. So apparently Amazon's made the contract. Here's the sheet. Here's the page. So 42, I got hit with tax, because Amazon's everywhere, so I guess they got to tax you everywhere. So it was $45.39 to my door. DB Electrical, so there's kind of a brand, right? That's always nice to see. Shipped and sold by Amazon. I ordered it May 12th, received it 5/17. So shipped and sold by Amazon, that means if I don't like this one, boom, it's guaranteed to be free. It's guaranteed, returns and stuff. So it's got that whole Amazon thing. It just seems like it's in better shape, like this Amazon does incoming inspection. I don't know. Here, let's get this baby focused. Here we go. Notice laminations are the same thickness, same metal, same pattern, but these are all clean, right? There's not that kind of Cosmoline kind of goop all over them. Same red washer. The commutator got a little roughness, a little machining to it. It's hard to machine copper. But they're cut nice and deep, and they're cut, if I can get it, where's a good angle for you? There. They're cut nice and deep. I would, like all of these, don't seem to cut far enough. So when you put it together, you got to make sure that the brush is in the right spot. Maybe that's what that big washer is for, to move the brush around so that you can get the brushes close to the end of this commutator, so they're slotted, and if they get in the insulated area, the insulator will hold the brushes off and you'll lose output. This one, unlike the other, has a perfect shaft. No glue on it, but no mark, right? And then here, $45 to your door, well, with tax, right? The seal area, great. The bearing area looks and feels good. This is nice. Same details, undercut here. This is the one, I don't think I'll need to buy another one. I got 6 armatures. I would buy another one of these. Now here's the big deal. Glad I noticed it. Here's the old one, or here's the other one, the $40 one. Here's the $45 one. Now can you see, where is it? Right here. If I can get the lighting just right, there's a little mark, a little dent, like a center punch. I think you're going to be able to see that. To me, that's a hardness tester. So like this outfit, DB Electrical, for the Amazon contract, now it might be a coincidence. Maybe this manufacturer in China hardness tests every 400th one, and I just happened to get shipped number 400, and it's got the little diamond shape that a Rockwell hardness tester does when it's testing shaft hardness. It's just where you'd put it, right? I was going to check the hardness of all of these with one of those push punches and just bang, 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 see how deep that punch went in. Because obviously, when I hammered that one out on the first 65A rebuild show and it mushroomed with a plastic hammer, that's not a hard armature. That shaft was pretty soft steel, right? So $5, it's shipped and sold by, $5 more, it's shipped and sold by Amazon. To me, that's a big deal. It's got the little dink mark, the little mark here, like it's been hardness tested. It doesn't have this splatter or whatever chip got smashed into this thing. So, like I say, for the $5 extra, every day. Let me keep these separate. Am I doing this right? Yeah. What else? 0.61 ohms, and I jab the ohm meter across, going directly across the commutator. Where's the sky cam? There we go. Jab one in here, down low where I won't damage it. So this was a winner. So, okay, we got another eBay one. I'll be back with that. All right, we're back. This is an eBay purchase. Here's the eBay page, $49.95, but with shipping, $8.25. Total to me, $58.20. So getting a little bit more expensive than the Amazon. With the ohm meter, it measured 0.60 ohms, right about in the same thing. A couple of things, V-twin, and when you're as old as me, V-twin had a bad reputation for some of it. At first they were selling like bootleg Harley parts that came off of trucks in the middle of the night, and it was NOS real Harley parts. I'm told, right? I should be careful. I'm not sure of that. But then they went through their Taiwan phase where the quality wasn't quite there. Custom Chrome had that period too, way, way back. To me, it seemed Custom Chrome got better sooner as far as like, no, we'll pay more. We need good quality stuff if it's coming from overseas, as well as Custom Chrome started all that. No, Jim's Machining, we'll buy stuff made in America, and you'll pay more for it, but USA made. V-twin was always good for restorers because they had all the old stuff for my 65 Sportster or 62 Sportster, all the early model stuff. So what caught my eye, V-twin, so it's got, a brand manufactured. Also, it came from South Carolina from these guys that are involved with Dale's Wheels Through Time Museum. And a comment on one of my other videos pointed me towards a little racer thing. Reisnegger, was that his name? That the Wheels Through Time Museum did a little video of. So these are cool people in North Carolina, So quality, in some ways, magnificent, right? Let me get my little... In it comes. Nice clean laminations, nice and straight. Wires are good. The surface is here, magnificent. And this looks hardened, right? This looks like almost like stainless steel. This would be an interesting one to take a center punch, and see if I can ding the end. So this quality is fantastic. The threads, like I say, this looks like a hardened steel, high quality armature. Laminations are nice. You can see this has been around. See how dark it is? And they kind of tell you in the description. So yeah, this has been around for a while, and we bought it with a bunch of stuff, and now these guys are associated with the museum in North Carolina, good people. So you want to love them. They did send it priority mail. Where is it? Come on, find a camera working. So it came, did I make a note? Ordered 5/11, received 5/15, same week, right? You got to love that. And that's all the cheapest shipping. I'm not paying extra for shipping to get it quick. So this gorgeous shaft, gorgeous everything, has the paper laid down here, and then, the twine to keep the wires from flinging out. Very See, this is, you heard the noise when on the Amazon one I said I liked? You don't get that with this one, right? This is much smoother. Not much, but smoother, right? So this is better machined than my book. The commutator segments, I put some fingernail dirt in there, sorry. Commutator segments, all even. If you want to clean this up, you can take some steel wool or crocus cloth, according to the factory. It does have that kind of cheaper look here. It doesn't have that pretty red washer, but no crime there, right? Just like everything about this, I mean, look at it, it's just silverier, more like a high chrome, high stainless steel, beautiful surface finish. I would have no hesitation about running a bearing on this. And what did I say this one cost? 58, so it's getting up there, right? But it has one quality issue, which I'm sure these guys would take back. I mean, it's righteous people. See this wire? See how that wire is loose? Can I even move it? God, it's hard being back. See how it moves? And you can see it had a little glue touch. So before they've varnished this one, these wires kind of flew. Now, it's not that serious. If the wires were in the magnetic part where the pole shoes are, go north-south, current's going in different directions, the wire's moving. I don't think that'll be a thing. To go on my bike, I'd probably maybe a dab of JB weld or something. You got to be careful. Sometimes too hard, and it damages the part as temperature moves the copper around. Too soft, and then it lets it move too much. Maybe some silicone or something. But it's a minor problem. It's out of the magnetic field. It does it gives you two issues, just like the old American cars in the 80s that had such quality. First off, what was wrong with your machine or your personnel or your training or whatever that let this happen? And then second, how did it leave the factory? When I was in the auto business, 80s, Ford and GM both, things like Mercedes-Benz had horrible quality back then. The only difference is they didn't let the car out of the factory. They'd have 60% of their cars in heavy repair, having them fixed at incredible cost. That's why they built the plants in Alabama, BMW and Mercedes both, so they can get American workers that do a better job. At least that's my opinion. So the V-twin, happy, nothing wrong with it. I'd run it all day long, and really, really impressed with the quality of the shaft, right? I mean, this looks everything, and it's clean, right? We'll show you. I got a little humorous thing at the end of this one. So we'll be back with unfortunately, the one real bad quality issue that I have to send one of them back, all right? Back in a minute. Okay, last one came from Riverside, California. Here's the sheet. Drag Specialties, right? I'm old enough. Drag Specialties was cool guy stuff. I don't know if they're still in business. They always had some, because they were racer oriented. They always had the high performance, always had quality. This one, whoever made it for drag, didn't do a good job. It's not drag's fault, so don't think there's anything wrong with drag. And it's certainly not Bike Now Motorsports' fault, because once I didn't realize how easy, it's as easy as Amazon to return something. Yeah, it's defective. Oh, okay, print the shipping label. Boom, I got a shipping label. This one is packed nicely. It came in this big box. The box has got a shipper in it and some of that air bubble stuff. So going back will be easy. So, I never measured this one. I guess I didn't feel I had to. Let me get this over here. So here's, Drag Specialties, part number, all this good stuff. Cancer reproductive harm, so it's late enough that California was doing their things. Had a plastic thing, and then the armature itself was wrapped in this non-corrosive, cool stuff paper. Here's why it has to go back. Alrighty. Perfect, it came right in. See, they've cut the copper and not the insulator. There are places where it is correct. There's a real bad one, you can see, right? There are places where it kind of lines up. The insulator and the slit are cut correctly, like over there, right? So it's not too bad right here. But as they went around indexing on the machine, or they're doing it by hand, who knows? The shame of this is, otherwise, the quality of this thing is kind of like that other one from V-Twin. Matter of fact, I'm going to go get the V-Twin one right now and say, is this the V-Twin one? Nope. I wonder. Okay. I'm going to pull the V-Twin out and compare it, because I just noticed the shafts are similar. Yes, these are very similar. So the V-Twin one, right? Very similar ends, right? Same people are distributing the shafts, both shiny and beautiful and high quality shafts, laminations, same. So same manufacturer on these. V-Twin we'll put back in the V-Twin box. The V-Twin one was caught right. You know, it was a bad day in China, I guess, or Taiwan. This vintage is probably made in Taiwan. So, like I say, a real shame, because see how nice, it's got that same silvery, high chromium, high hard shaft look to it that I'd never hesitate to run a needle bearing on. The laminations are even and perfect. I hope I can get this red stuff off when I send it back. And you know, the lamination, like I say, I'd always, doesn't seem like anybody cuts them. I'd like them cut all the way up to here, right? But they seem to stop the machine pretty short. They must have a tiny cutter. So that's a shame, but because the vendor's a cool vendor, free returns. I've got the label already. All I got to do is, and if I'm right, this is a post office label. It's not UPS, Priority Mail Return Service. This is US Post Office, right? USPS, United States Postal Service. What's cool about that, I can set it outside, and if you go and like join the post office website, and you give them your name and stuff, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. You can have them ship boxes here, you know, the flat rate boxes. They'll send 100 boxes to you. Or you can have them pick up at your door. So I'll box this, I'll clean the red off, hope they're cool with that, put it all back together, and I got nothing against that vendor. It might just be a one-off, right? And you just saw the V-Twin one, identical manufacturer, happened to come out good, right? So it does make you wonder, well, was there incoming inspection at V-Twin where they caught a problem like this? Versus Drag Specialties was like, oh, put it in the box and ship it. You never know. And how those companies are now is totally different than my experiences decades ago. So those are our 7 armatures for 7 generators. All right, I wanted to show some auctions or Amazon things I didn't buy and give you the reasons real quick. Here's one new generator armature for Harley-Davidson motorcycles. It's an Amazon thing. They want $60 in this picture. When I went to check and make sure I'm telling you the right stuff, Quality Solutions, now the same exact one is $40. So maybe because guys like me are going and looking at it but not buying it, maybe Amazon tips them off, hey, you're getting watchers, but nobody's pressing the button and buying it. So they lowered their price $20. So that's pretty compelling. This may be one of those, like with the red washer, the modern, what I think red Chinese production. So good pictures, nice blow up. I just rejected it because the $60 was getting to be a little painful. That's not a problem anymore. So you can check those folks out. Here's an eBay reject. Ace Electric. Is that a real brand name? I don't know. When you look at the box picture label, it says Axel. And now there's a brand that I always thought highly of. Their electrical stuff always worked. Their voltage regulators was better. So maybe this was an okay thing, but my notes on the page are, the commutator looks rough. There's a single wrap of around by the commutator to keep the wires from flinging. There's no paper underneath it. And then on the bearing side, it looked a little rough in the picture. And this just tells the vendors, you got to have really good quality, high resolution pictures, preferably of the exact same one that you're selling, right? And you take a picture every time you sell the same thing. Nobody does that, but that would certainly help us figure out like that. One Amazon one I had has a little dent, which I think I'm going to send back now that I think of it, or at least get a refund, or not a refund, a return, exchange. So that's the eBay reject, $37.99. Is it free shipping, right? Otherwise a good deal. And the Excel, I only just now noticed it was an Excel. That's, in my mind, a really good brand. So what's this one? This is see other, buy it now. This must be an eBay, NOS Harley 12 volt. Well, see, I got that problem. It's not NOS. The box there says Taiwan, right? NOS means new old stock Harley Davidson, made by Harley 40 years ago, right? This is aftermarket. It's got that same washer that I got in the Mindy, the Meldy folks up in Ohio. So thank you, Logan, Ohio. That washer was intentional. It's obviously the same one. Let's see, this is another one that had a huge $20 price, $64. Now, when I just checked the price, $49.99, same auction. So it must be me going and looking at them and not buying that triggers them to go reevaluate their pricing and lower it by 20 or it's the season. I don't know. So here's a picture. Okay, this is that auction. The center picture in the auction blown up like an eBay, right? When you can hover and it makes it bigger. Look at the commutator, right? Down at the bottom, it's got like grooved, like they just ran into it and weren't careful. It's got these double twisted wires like some others. So I don't know. It was that rough looking commutator that turned me off. It's probably no worse than any of the others. And one more reject on eBay, price, $99. The armature, the commutator, you can see how dark it is. This thing has been sitting around for a while. It's got the real shiny shafting, so this might be that same, well, it says Drag Specialties, right? Now, the one Drag Specialties, would this one be bad too? Hard to say. I wouldn't take a chance on it. I did notice it's sold now. When I went to check and make sure that, I got my numbers right, this one's gone, so don't worry about it. So like I say, one of those, the V-twin version was good, the Drag Specialty one, the particular one I had. Drag Specialties, I think, always had a reputation for doing good stuff. So those were my rejects, all right? I got a little, because some of these just were so dirty and so filthy, I got a little humor to end this show. A friend of mine worked for Buick and for Nissan. And he traveled the whole world. He went to races, he was a test driver, he was everywhere. And somehow, somewhere, he got a hold of a PowerPoint that has a bunch of pictures of it says Chinese, it could be Vietnam, I'm not sure. But it says it's a Chinese spark plug shop. So let's get the first picture up. This is the Chinese spark plug shop, right? Second picture. Third picture. Fourth picture. There's one of the machines in the fifth picture. The extensive test facilities in picture number 6. It's kind of like these pictures were to be proud of this stuff. Picture number 7 looks like more kind of machinery or testing. Picture number 8. Picture number 9. And then picture number 10. And whatever the resolution, you should be able to see those are spark plug bodies. Now, I hope they don't run their virus labs the way they run their spark plug outfits, but I hope not. Now, this could have been old. It might not even be China. And I wondered, how could anybody, when I go to look at a Harley shop, you go to the Harley dealer, you don't see anything like that, spotless. You can eat off the showroom, of course, sales guys, but you can also eat off of the service, and you can eat off of the parts counter, right? That's how a Harley dealer knows how to maintain things. Independent shops, when I go shopping for one here in Florida, I'm going to look for organization, cleanliness. Is the boring bar new? Do they understand about good spindle bearings in their boring bar? Things like that. So, I don't know. All I could think of is it's an agricultural society that rapidly industrialized. And in an agricultural society, dirt's your friend, right? You got no problem with dirt everywhere. It's just, that's what makes you money, the dirt. So, I don't know. It's like I say, I'm sure they're not making them like that now. At least I hope they don't. And certainly no car company, because any car company goes and visits their vendors and sends people to make sure they don't have a shop like that. So that might have been some little aftermarket thing. Who knows what that was? So that's my little chuckle. Now I'm going to start going through some of these bodies. I don't know if I'll do it next. I don't want to be on a one-track thing. Do one of these 65As with one of the new armatures. I've got them all tested in the tester over here, right? So I've got a baseline. I've got some hollow frames and stuff that I can put new armatures in, mix and match, do something like that, and see if I can improve. Like there's one that just has a really great output. It comes up really quick. I'll get a better tachometer. That's on the way from China. And I'll be able to tell you exactly, this one gets to 12 volts at 600 RPM or 1,000 RPM. So we'll have more fun with generators. Meanwhile, I'll look for some other subjects just so we don't become the generator channel, all right? So, Sportster Paul, hope you liked our little seven armatures for 7 Harley generators. We'll catch you next time. Bye now.